Hi, Phil Lindsay here with Peep magazine. We're here at Fighting Chance Promotions, or Fighting Chance Gym as it is. We're here with Chris Clayton first. This is your Peep debut. Chris Clayton, tell the fans exactly what you do.
Performance nutritionist or a sports nutritionist, however you would like to take it. And I just look after the fighters, making sure that, the approach, making the weight the right way, and set standards and set strategies that'll get them to maintain weight throughout the year, and then just basically targeting a diet towards, ultimately performing, and also looking after the general health and well-being. It's a big part in sport, and we're in they're in a dangerous sport, and getting there and eliminating those dangers and being in the best shape that they can be, I think, is paramount. Which we've sort of showed with John Lewis Dickinson in his last fight in particular.
The condition, his fight against Simmons, I've never seen him in such good shape. And if you look at his fight before that, when he's come back from holiday and things and stuff like that, and his conduct. I was worried for John Lewis because the two previous fights before the Simmons fight, and then 2 days beforehand, I seen his condition on Facebook. He put and it was like I'd never seen him in such good condition. Yeah. And as soon as I seen that, I was like, I'm picking him to win.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I don't know a great deal about boxing and what it entails getting into that ring and actually doing it. But I was at the Resurrection show when he was fighting Courtney Fry before I was introduced and signed with Fighting Chance, and I knew there was areas that he could improve on, and a lot of it was his education. We had to look and gain his trust for a start, because at the end of the day I could have just been anybody coming in here and telling him. But slowly and surely we introduced strategies, and he took to them, and fair play to him, he took them on board. He's now, stays within 10% of his fight weight, so he says. So he says, and I hope he does. But ultimately, what happened there was it showed. He was
showed in the fight as well.
He was in tremendous shape, and working alongside Martin Nugent and under the guidance of Ronnie, I just thought it was a transformation, and a one that I think and will take him onto the next level.
It's not by chance either, because if you look at Kell Brook, when he struggled against Carson Jones, and then he realised, he learned the lesson that it's like if you're putting diesel in a petrol car, vice versa, then you're not going to get the best performance,
Yeah, and it can be. It doesn't have to be massively complex. Some boxers, depending on where they are, or and athletes in general, have got different levels of knowledge. It's just about educating them and making them understand the importance of what it is that they're doing, and ultimately it makes their work easier. If they want to come into camp and it's about losing weight, then you can come in and do that, or you can come in at a reasonable weight and we can do things properly, and you can work on the things that Ronnie and Gary work on. That's obviously out of my remit, but it's something that he asked for, and it paid, and we'll see, I think, an even better John Lewis Dickinson next time round, definitely.
Well, he's going to have more confidence as well, because how he performed in that fight, I mean, his confidence must have been knocked to a degree after the previous two defeats. Obviously there's reasons behind them, and frustrations and things like that, but it's one thing believing in something, but when you go through the experience that you then know it, you've got that extra confidence and belief in yourself. So I would expect him to improve, but you've also got the other guys in Fighting Chance as well. What sort of difference have you seen in them since you've come on board?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously they're at different stages of their career. Craig Dixon, when I came on board again just before he lost to Mould, it was after that I come on board, and we looked at certain things in his diet and how he approaches nutrition around his training and everyday life is fantastic, and you've got to take each individual as they come, because there's influencing factors that make them make those decisions, whether it's family, whether it's work, and a lot of people look at pro boxing and they just assume that that's what they do for a living. It's massively different, and I was one of those. I didn't realise, that these kids go to work, long hours, and they've got families, and they're out, and
still train twice a day, and still sacrifice what they eat, what they can, what they can't eat at certain times towards fights and things.
Without a doubt. So you've got to be able to understand those things. you know, there's no way you can just say, right there, that's what you eat and get on with it.
Yeah.
You know, but with them being at different levels, you approach things differently. Like Mark White, you know, recently turned pro, so you know what you do is you introduce little things to them, and you take it from there. They've all got general guidelines that you know that we adhere to, and they have to stick to those. You know, if they want to get the best out of their training, or if they want to get the best out of, you know, fighting, and they want to go as far as they can, you know, they have to look up to, you know, John Lewis Dickinson and see what difference it actually can make when, you know, you're at that level. Because you know, as far as I'm aware, and what I was told, Stephen Simmons is a very good fighter, and you know, I wouldn't know because I don't know a great deal about boxing.
Well, he's fought once since the John Lewis fight, and he came back and won, so it's the only fight he's ever lost. So, you know, that speaks for itself.
Yeah, definitely. So,
but it's not just the win against Simmons. It's just how John Lewis looked. It's how he not just physically, how he performed. It was like a transformation. It was like watching a different guy. It was like watching the guy who won the prize fighter in there again.
Yeah. I mean, you know, we tailor those things, you know, around making sure that that fight was going 10 rounds. So, you know, his condition and his nutrition was tailored around 10 rounds, you know, and that's how we approached it on that day. And little things, you know, like, you know, when we come to the weigh-in, you know, what to do after the weigh-in, let's start refueling, let's start get that process going again, little things that, you know, weren't there in place beforehand. But
so you got the Floyd Mayweather rehydration tips going in now, have you?
I basically a bit suspect, I think, but you know, I think, you know, John Lewis has to take a great deal of credit for that himself, because, you know, I think he understood and knew what was on the line, and you know, he took everything on board, and he's always had a good working relationship with Martin Nugent, who played a fantastic role in getting him in that shape as well, and as well as Ronnie and Gary, who are phenomenal, you know, and I learned so much from them. You know, Gary's been around GB, and he knows, you know, and he's clued up, and Ronnie's been around boxing, you know, all his life.
Oh,
so
God, since boxing began, I think, just about.
yeah, definitely. So, you know, there's a lot placed on how you apply the science that you know into the sport. And my knowledge of how to apply those sciences to the fight. I've come on leaps and bounds since signing for Fighting Chance, and you know, it's a privilege to be here, and I'm really looking forward to what we can do in the future, and hopefully, you know, win titles. If not, I might be giving me P45.
Well, you never know, but
Aye.
it's not looking that way at the moment.
Nah, true.
Now, just a little bit more on yourself, Chris. Obviously, you joined Fighting Chance was about a year and a bit ago.
I think it was around just after Christmas last year. I think that's when I officially signed.
So, what's your background before you joined Fighting Chance?
I was at Newcastle Thunder, which is formerly Gated Thunder. You know, came into there once I graduated with my master's degree. Done well, you know. Again, worked with Martin Nugent. He was their strength and conditioning coach, and you know, we got some good results. You know, the club reached the playoff for the first time in a few years, so that was great. And unfortunately, they decided to fund player recruitment rather than the science side of it. So I was let go, but no sooner I was let go,
One door closes and the one opens, doesn't
Mr. Pendleton rang and asked if I would like to sit down, and obviously, you know, that was the next chance that, you know, to work with the likes of John Lewis Dickinson and Travis Dickinson, who's now retired, was something that I couldn't really pass up in a sport that is very challenging, and I knew a weight controlled sport that I was going to be tested, and you know, it was great, and it has been great from the outset, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, the lads have seen another side and they can move on to that next level, hopefully.
Yeah, well, that draws this one to a close. Chris Clayton, Peep debut. You're no longer a virgin. You've been in there now. But
it's my first and last. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you very much, Chris.
Take care.
Great
Ta-ra.
stuff, top man.